So yesterday, fun day, got to talk about Soul, which I've been doing basically every day for a while. Um, no big surprise there, though, right? Soul is the big Pixar movie out right now, and as you can imagine, it's been dominating a lot of my thinking and my time, and I've been really enjoying uh, thinking of the film pretty deeply this week. I promise I'm going to move on to other topics besides the movie Soul coming up. That is not, this is not a Soul channel. It's not solely about Soul. But for now it is because it's the big Pixar movie out. It's the one that people are asking questions about. And speaking of which, yesterday while talking about some of the Soul backlash, we had a live chatter who said, who asked the question, is 22 from Soul, does 22 become Riley? So, gotta get this out of the way. If you have not seen Soul and you don't want to be spoiled on the ending of Soul, uh, it's possible you've already been like lightly spoiled. So this is your chance to remove all ambiguity and stop watching, because we're gonna dive into some like details for Soul, and I don't know if we'll be spoiling Inside Out. I guess. I mean, there's not much to spoil in that movie, to be totally honest. So yeah, a watcher of the stream asked this question. I forget exactly who it was. I'd have to like go back to the tape and see who it was. But they presented this theory, and I've seen this theory only on Twitter. Honestly, I did a Google search of like where this exists, and to be totally honest with you, the only place I found this was on Reddit, as you can expect. But I had seen people talking about it on Twitter, specifically somebody I follow who I love like a brother. He doesn't know that, so don't tell him. Tyler Carlin. Tyler Carlin was kind of floating this idea that 22 in the movie Soul, one of the last things we see is 22 kind of descending upon the planet, and we don't know, like the movie never reveals who 22 turns out to be. So it leaves this big question mark that a lot of people who like the Pixar theory, they now see like a chance, an opportunity to speculate, which is pretty fun. And the first amount of speculation I have seen so far has been this idea that 22, the soul becomes Riley. And I don't think this is the case, and I don't think there really is an avenue to believe this that just makes sense to me. The main one being, and I talked about this yesterday at the end of the video, and I'll elaborate even more. The timelines do not match up. That is the main issue. If you watch both movies, there are Easter eggs that kind of show you where the movies take place if you're paying attention. And it's logically not possible for Riley to have been born around the time that Soul takes place. So just putting that out there. I'll probably get into that a little bit later, but I do want to start with the actual theory itself that I found on Reddit. Here it is. So this is from username G33K350. Mouthful. Okay, Pixar Theory 22 from Soul is Riley Anderson from Inside Out. Massive spoiler alert. Those who have watched these two heartwarming animated movies with attention might see some similarities between the two protagonists of this theory. Both films were directed by the same person, Pete Docter, who also directed Up and Monsters Inc. 22's optimistic and energetic attitude she starts to display at the second act of Soul is very similar to Riley's personality on Inside Out, specifically in the first act of the movie. Riley's love for pizza is also present with 22. We never get to see 22's human form after she's sent to Earth to start a life, so it's possible that she was born as Riley. What do you think? Is there some fact that invalidates my theory I ignored? Is there another similarity I forgot to mention? Before we actually look at the comments, I want to kind of go through this one by one and basically debunk it. Debunk it sounds kind of harsh. Hey Pete Reto. Good to see you again. I do want to take this one by one. It's not really about debunking. It's just sort of a here's why I think this isn't the case. I really don't think this makes a ton of sense when you hold it up to scrutiny. So here's the first point. Both films were directed by the same person. Uh, okay, but here's the thing. The Pixar theory in general really kind of ignores like that the fact that like which films were directed by the same person. I don't think this is a very good argument. Yeah, he also directed Up and Monsters Inc., but there's connections in this theory that unite characters from different directors. So I don't think that that's a very strong argument in your favor. It's like, yeah, same director, but who cares? I don't think that really tells us much. Point two, 22's optimistic and energetic attitude she starts to display at the second act of Soul is very similar to Riley's personality in Inside Out, specifically in the first act of the movie. I don't think this is a very good argument because, first of all, I've seen Inside Out many, many times, and these characters are totally different by my estimation. I think that there's this general, like, oh, they're optimistic and energetic. Well, so is Dory from Finding Dory. So is Mater from Cars and Cars 2 and Cars 3. I don't really think this tells us anything that the personality is very similar. Obviously, we do want to look for a character if we were speculating on who this person becomes. Somebody who would be like 22, yeah, sure, would have a similar personality that would be kind of like fun loving and liking life. But I don't think that's a lot to go on here, especially because. I don't know. I think with Riley, like, I don't think she's that optimistic and energetic. Like, we do see her kind of, she seems very chill to me. Like, this character, for the most part, like, she's happy, she has fun, but like, if you really watch Inside Out, it's very, I don't know, I don't think it's that similar. But it's not a terrible argument, doesn't have zero merit or anything. I just don't think it's particularly strong. Okay, Riley's love for pizza is also present with 22. Yeah, but I mean, who doesn't love pizza? I mean, I don't know. I feel like this is a stretch. Like, okay, yeah, she loves pizza. Okay. Like, is there a Pixar character who doesn't love pizza? Like, we even see a rat in the movie who has like the same kind of like design as the rats in Ratatouille, who loves pizza. It doesn't mean that that's Remy, just because I assume Remy from Ratatouille likes uh, pizza. I don't know. I don't think that's a strong argument either. I mean, it's a funny connection. It's definitely like a fun like little thing you can connect, but it's not. I don't think this really says much. And then the last point, we never get to see 22's human form after she's sent to Earth to start a life, so it's possible that she was born as Riley. What do you think? Is there? Oh yeah. So yeah, again, yeah, it's possible, but yeah, that doesn't mean that it is the case. And I guess we can talk about the whole timeline thing now. And this is actually a funny, it's a funny thing because I was rewatching the film, and one of the things I kind of noticed when I was sort of like picking it apart a bit is there is an Easter egg that does connect the two movies, and it actually disproves this idea that 22 becomes Riley even further. I mentioned in the stream yesterday that 22 couldn't be Riley because it doesn't. There's no indication that Soul takes place in the past. In fact, based on the technology we see, for this to work out, Soul would have to take place in like the late 90s or the early 2000s for 22 who have to have been born as Riley. And then, Inside Out, as as I've long speculated, takes place in the late 2000s. I don't think it takes place in 2015. I think it takes place around the time of Finding Dory, because there's a Riley cameo in Finding Dory, and we know Finding Dory is in the later 2000s because Finding Nemo is in the mid 2000s, and so you get the point. So the thing that really disproves this, though, and I kind of came across this yesterday, if you watch Soul, there is an advertisement in a subway billboard. I wonder if I could find it. I don't think I could because I think I would get copyrighted. But if you watch the subway scene where they're in, this like subway car and there's ads, you actually see an ad for the startup that Riley's dad is working for. And so two major things with that. It wouldn't make sense, first of all, for that startup to really be a thing like in the late 2000s because I mean, I'm not going to mention the .com bubble, I guess, but like it wouldn't really make sense because it's such a like hip sort of startup thing. It doesn't really ring true that would be late 90s. And as we know, Riley's dad, he just got that job, and the whole point is that it's like a San Francisco startup that it's like very small and nimble. And yeah, to me, this definitely points to Soul taking place after Inside Out, because that would mean that the startup, which is called Bring, has apparently been doing really well because now it actually has ads, in New York City, a place where, far, far away from San Francisco. So I think that definitely hurts this theory quite a bit. It strengthens and kind of confirms the idea that Soul actually takes place closer to our modern day than, especially compared to Inside Out, because of the existence also of like smartphones and everything like that. I think the stronger theory is, and this is the one that I maintain, is that 22 is going to become a character we haven't met yet. And I think the thing to look out for with 22, the thing that would make this character sort of make sense as another character in a Pixar movie, is somebody who not just optimistic and energetic. I don't think that's a lot to go on, but I think we have to take into account that 22 had a ton of mentors, like Gandhi and Mother Teresa. All of these things shaping their personality, and they could be anybody. It could be a girl, could be a boy, could be non-binary. It really, we don't really have anything to go off of there, and so I think it's a little reductive to kind of be like, only be looking at female characters that 22 could become. 22 could become all kinds of things. And this actually dovetails into kind of how I've been thinking about this film fitting into the overall theory. I've been giving it a lot of thought actually, and because Soul introduces, in a lot of ways, the idea that there are souls, in the Pixar universe, and as we know, there are objects like toys and cars and fish and rats and all of this stuff that have souls. And so it kind of makes you wonder, like, how does this movie connect to that? And I actually have a stronger inclination to believe that if 22 became a person, that person would have like some kind of amazing, like, there would be something especially unique about them. Particularly, like, I was thinking about other Pixar films that are going to come out, like Luca and Turning Red, and somebody observed. I saw that it looks like 22 when they're heading toward Earth is going toward Asia. So there could even be a possibility that 22 becomes the main character in Turning Red, who we know has like a special ability. I don't know. It's just speculation. I think like the movies are going to come out, we're going to watch them, and then we can decide like, does it make sense? Does it not? Who cares? Let's decide then. But that's kind of how I feel at the moment. I think that I don't think 22 is a character we've seen yet, just because if you really look at the timeline, and if you're going by Pixar theory timeline stuff, then this is especially difficult to wrangle. There really aren't a lot of Pixar characters that 22 could become that would make sense, unless it was like if I mentioned this yesterday, if we were looking at Wally almost, like if somebody was like, well, what if 22 is like the great great grandfather or whatever of Shelby Forthright from Wally? I kind of joked about that yesterday, but apparently some people thought that was valid. I don't really think it's the case, but it would be funny, I guess, if that were. But who knows? We could also look at the shorts too. Like there's all kinds of fun stuff we could speculate on for 22. But as of right now, I don't think there's any like compelling evidence for anybody at this point. And I think that it could really be like 22 could be anything. 22 could be like a toy in an upcoming Pixar movie. That could be kind of interesting, actually. Like, what if 22 was toy, like a new toy in Toy Story 4? Like, I don't know, Forky. Would that make sense? I don't think so, but it'd be funny. Yeah, I don't really think. Please don't take that as me seriously proposing that 22 becomes Forky from Toy Story 4. I only half mean it. Oh man, I do enjoy all this Pixar theory stuff. It is fun. I'm actually working on kind of unpacking my overall theory for how Soul kind of connects. Kind of looking at the wisps from Brave, for example, and there's a lot of material that I've written about this, and I kind of want to review a lot of it and make sure that I've given it pretty good introspection. I haven't seen any of the like Pixar theory people I know who've sort of taken the theory a little bit further and have added their stuff to it. I think they're probably working on this thing as well. At times, it almost feels like a race. It's like, well, who's going to do it first? I think there's like one person who's put out a video about it. I haven't seen it yet. I'm probably going to do my own thing before I watch something like that because don't want to take from others, of course. But that said, that's my main thing with 22 and Riley. I don't think it works. I do want to finish out though with kind of. I should have said this at the very beginning, but theories like this, I think there are three like types of fan theories, and this one is firmly in a version of fan theories that I like to call fun theory. I think the three types are cringe theory, it's not a good thing, fun theory, which most fan theories tend to be, and stand theory. This is like my own thing. So let me explain. Cringe theory is like the kind of like how it sounds. There are just some theories that like they make you kind of cringe, and the main thing about them that I think that make me cringe in particular is when they undermine what I like about the movie. Like even if it were true, I think it would be bad. Like I think it would make it's just kind of cringeworthy, and I just wish that I just don't want the theory to be true. A good example of this is a theory that I hate, which is the one like if Finding Nemo, that like Nemo was like dead the whole time, and I'm like, that's a cringe theory to me. That's like, why do I want that to be true? It's like, it's not profound. It doesn't add anything to the movie. It only takes from the movie. So that's a good example of cringe theory. Fun theory is where I think most theories are, which is a healthy, fun place. Most fan theories are fun theory because it doesn't matter if they're true, and they most likely aren't. The point is that they're fun. They're fun to think about. Um, Basically, every theory that I've done has fit into this. If it hasn't been cringe theory, I think, and that I will say there are a few I've done that are stand theory, but like a good example of fun theory, I think, is the Pixar theory. The Pixar theory ultimately is fan fiction. It sets out to add to narratives, and it doesn't matter if it's true. It's fun either way, and it's not like a bad thing if people kind of take it a little bit more seriously because it's imaginative. It's something you can add to. I think this idea, like 22 becoming Riley, even though I don't agree with it and I don't think it really works, I think that it's definitely fun theory because it's fun to think about and you can like keep speculating even if you disprove it, even if it ultimately doesn't land. It's fun to think about. It doesn't harm the film to like put this out there. So this is fun theory, fan theory. The third type of fan theory is what I think a lot of people aspire to, and I think is a very dangerous thing to aspire to, and that's stan theory. Stan theory, which I've also called canon theory before, but can theory doesn't have the same ring to it. Stan theory is a fan theory that isn't just like really good. It would like make the material even better if it were true. And even if it isn't true, it's like I've come across stand theories where I've wished it was the case. That's where it can be kind of dangerous. A really good example of stand theory is some of the Game of Thrones fan theories. The big one, R plus L equals J, which I won't give away if you haven't watched Game of Thrones. That is one of the premier examples of like a modern stand theory. What's great about the R plus L equals J is that, first of all, it is what the author intended. But even if it isn't, it fits so well and it actually improves the story. It actually makes a ton of sense. And it's something that people can like definitely like believe in, and it is good. It's a good theory. So that's a good. There aren't a lot of stand theories, to be totally honest. I've definitely put out theories that I would consider stand theory because, they explain certain things in a better way than I think we actually get from the final product. I'm still thinking of Game of Thrones in that respect. Oh, got a cough. Don't worry, it's not COVID. Just need to clear my throat. I had some chips before I did this. That's better. Um, I'm not going to say what any of my stand theories are because they probably aren't stand theories, and I don't want to put myself on the spot. Why do that? Other people will do it for me. Um, but yeah, those are the ones. I think some people try to aspire for stand theory, which is fine. You can do that. I think that it's really hard, and you're kind of setting yourself up to fail a little bit if you're somebody who's trying to do theories in general and you end up doing a cringe theory because you're trying to do a stand theory. That's not fun. But I think most theories, and I think what I aspire to always try to go for is fun theory. Fun theory is easy. It's safe. It's safe in a good way. It's safe in the sense that like you're not doing it to change a ton of minds or anything. You're trying to do it to like inspire. And this is definitely this theory is definitely an example of that. I hope this was informative, not a super long stream or anything. I don't really have anything else to add there. But if you happen to agree with this, if there's any evidence, of like an alternative version of this, where maybe you have an idea of who 22 becomes, definitely let me know in the chat or comments. I'd be happy to take a look. I don't know if it'll make it into the book that I'm working on, but the new version of the Pixar Theory book. But I know the soul chapter is going to be a huge chapter because this movie really introduces, like I said before, the idea of like, well, where do these souls actually come from? A main tenet of the theory is that like human emotion powers, like it's what gives like toys a personality. It's what gives like machines a personality. And so I think the movie Soul kind of complicates that in a good way. And it's like, well, is there a difference between how humans get their personalities and how objects get their personalities? And is there any room for some of the souls that we see in the great before becoming some of the things that we see later? I'm not sure yet. I'm still kind of noodling on that one. I'm curious what other people might put out there as well, but I think people are still watching the film and trying to decide for themselves where they stand. But yeah, as for 22, I guess we will find out sooner or later who that soul becomes, if we ever find out. They might just keep it mysterious and then nothing ever makes sense. That'd be okay, I suppose. But all right, that's it for me on this stream. I see people are now starting to jump in. You can rewind for sure. I'm sorry, but I'm already done. It only took me about 20 minutes. It's a longer video than it probably needed to be, but I hope you all have an amazing December 30. Hope your New Year's is great. Hoping to jump on stream tomorrow. I'm not sure what I'll talk about yet. Some ideas that I have for streams are comparing Soul to Onward. I've also been considering doing a video responding to the Soul backlash thing because there was a comment on there that I want to address personally. Although I might just do that like in a writing format. We'll see what happens. But I'll see you all later. Hope this was a fun time for you to watch. And yeah, take it easy.